Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, November 29th. It is 10 after 2 p.m. A lot going on again today, people. There's just always so much to talk about. First things first. Well, I don't know what first things first should be, but I don't know if you had an opportunity to listen to Janet Yellen. This was her last appearance before she goes off into the sunset in 3 weeks. So it was basically a victory lap. I listened to it. Everyone was just tripping over themselves to just give her all this praise and what a wonderful job she did. This steady hand that guided the ship in these perilous, tumultuous times that we live in. One accolade after the next. It wasn't so much, obviously, like a hearing or anything. It was more like just let's pick your brain. Let's pick your brain one more time. And one senator after the next just, like I say, just tripped over themselves to just, praise her for all she's accomplished. I mean, let's think about it. Unemployment is down to 4%, right? Check. Inflation is low, right? According to their models. Check. Stock markets are at all-time highs. Check. Real estate has come back. Check. There's this growth, GDP, even today, right? Over 3%. Check. So everything is wonderful. She's accomplished so much. So then why is the Fed still in crisis mode? What are they so afraid of still? There's those two stubborn things, though. There's that labor force participation rate, right? Like 61%. So these prime age workers that are not in the labor force, they've just given up. It's a little sticky thing, work. And she doesn't have an answer. They don't have an answer. All right? So seems to be this disconnect. So they hit her with some questions. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And the other thing that they just can't figure out is this inflation. This low inflation. They can't hit that 2% target. Is it transitory? Is it some sort of idiosyncrasy? It's a stickling point. Then they asked about, what do you think about the brick and mortar? All the commercial real estate, right? Now somebody, a loyal viewer on this site made a good point the other day about how, you used to drive and used to be able to see all these corporate headquarters, Now they're just abandoned, right? They're vacant. So she really couldn't respond. She didn't have an answer. I mean, she kind of fudged over it, but so there's this dichotomy. Where I live, they're building this mall, or I should say they're expanding this mall. It wasn't really a high-end mall. It was kind of like a little rinky-dink type of mall. And they started to get more and more high-end shops over the years. I think some other company bought them, introduced more high-end type of stores. And now it never had a parking garage. Had a huge parking lot, but it didn't have an indoor parking garage. They built this huge parking garage now. I mean, it's like 3 floors, and I don't know how many cars it can accommodate. And they blew out the wings and expanded this, and they're putting in all these restaurants and everything. What's going on here, people? You got brick and mortar stores closing, right? All over the country. And yet over here, they're throwing hundreds of millions of dollars into this mall. I don't get it. Somebody's screwing somebody. So this was kind of like a victory lap for Janet Yellen. You know, maybe she'll go off and write a book now like her predecessor, you know, Ben Bernanke, Man of the Year, who saved the economy. So, I don't know. Anyway, wanted to talk about what else? Bitcoin. Bitcoin crossed 11,000. And I notice, I watch, you know, the people that aren't in it, they're going to call it a bubble. The people that are in it are going to, you know, all the reasons why it's justified, the price. So, another faithful listener made another interesting comment the other day about how Bitcoin isn't legal tender. So I guess by implication, it won't be accepted. It's not legal tender. Okay? I can't get into it as deeply as I would like. This just isn't the forum. But the Legal Tender Act was passed during the Civil War, okay, to be able to basically issue paper money to keep the war going, all right? And it wasn't backed by gold and silver. So is legal tender a good thing? No, of course not. Here's a bill. Can you see that? This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. I mean, this is just a piece of paper. This is fraud. It's a Ponzi scheme, right? It's a confidence game, right? What is confidence, right? What's a con game? It's confidence. When the confidence goes away, the con is over, right? So just because they put a nice little, this is legal tender, okay, meaning, you know, they have to accept this, right? For payment, for debt, right? I go into a store, I want to buy, you know, a sandwich. He's got to take this, right? What does that mean? Does that make this a good thing? So Bitcoin isn't legal tender. I'm thinking about that. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not, that doesn't mean I'm advocating Bitcoin. I'm just saying the fact that it's not legal tender, to me, is not a detriment. That was one of the appeals of Bitcoin back in the day, if you remember. The gold bugs and bulls, who, like myself, who were following gold when we found out about Bitcoin, it was an appeal, right? It was the fact that it was decentralized, the fact that it wasn't regulated, the fact that it was transparent, right? Ease of access, right? Fast money transfer, limited quantity. That was an appeal, not a detriment. Now the higher the price goes, it seems like the fat cats want to get their claws into it. They got to regulate it. They got to set up options. Okay? Oh, well, maybe we got to make it legal tender. I don't think that's not the direction, the right direction. So, you know, legal tender. This is a gold coin, if you could see that, right? That's a Liberty gold coin, 1 ounce coin, right? It doesn't say legal tender anywhere on that coin. Does it say legal tender? No, it doesn't say it. You walk into a store today with a gold coin, they won't even accept this. This is how bizarre it's got, okay? Here's my dollar when it hits the ground. Here's my gold when it hits the ground. That's real money, okay? So this legal tender business, no, that doesn't wash with me. I said the other day, there was this ebook I bought. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick. I recommend the book. Oh, this iPad, it seems to get slower and slower and slower. Anyway, I bought this. I downloaded it. It was an ebook. It cost me like $1. About 4 years ago. So I would recommend it. Let's see. I'm going to show you the cover. Here we go. You see that? Bitcoin Explained. Today's complete guide to tomorrow's currency. All right? And this has a copyright. It's by Daniel Forrester and Mark Solomon. published by Grassroot Books, copyright Grassroot Books, 2013. Bitcoin Explained. See that? So I bought it about 4 years ago, and I read most of the book. I put it down, haven't done anything else with it, but we obviously can't read the whole book here, but I think it's well worth it. I just want to hit some of the highlights because there's so much confusion out there right now. Bitcoin is largely an imaginary piece of code. I mean, think about that. An imaginary piece of code. I'm a programmer. I'm a coder. I write code. Okay, and code creates things, right? Apps, right? Games, spreadsheets, word processors, databases, whatever it might be, right? Bitcoin is largely an imaginary piece of code with no intrinsic value. Gold has intrinsic value for use as jewelry, some in electronics, for making teeth, for coating mirrors, and a host of other possibilities. Silver has even more intrinsic value for medical uses, in film and coatings for bearings, for its heat distribution and electrical properties, etc. Bitcoins, gold, and silver all share one crucial aspect in common. They are all relatively rare, okay? And that was one of the appeals, right? You can only have 21 million Bitcoins, right? Bitcoins are like the rewards for a correct answer in a certain math problem, right? That's what it is. You know, you have to mine Bitcoins, you have to solve the algorithm, right? Both the problem and the answer are completely unique. There will be a limit of about 21 million Bitcoins into existence. That's the limit, right? The eventual exact number is 20,999,999.9769 of these special solution rewards known as the Bitcoin, okay? But what I want people to get is, just like the dollar, you can break this down, right? Quarters, dimes, nickels, pennies, even 50-cent piece. You will do the same thing with a Bitcoin, right? There are different units of a Bitcoin, right? 0.1 Bitcoin, 0.01 Bitcoin, right? Similar to the dollar. The smallest denomination that you can break a Bitcoin down into is 0.000000001, or 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. Does that sound like something that's limited? Does that sound like a deflationary currency, right? So, you know, it's not as deflationary as people would have you believe, okay? Because you could break it down. The smallest unit of a Bitcoin is known affectionately as a Satoshi, in honor of the genius that developed the whole code framework. All right? So, the fact is, though, that its growth rate, and this is another thing, that 21 million Bitcoin will be created in the year 2140. Because it gets harder and harder to create, more expensive to create, and it has more of a steadier, slowing growth rate. All right? So, I highly recommend this book. It gets into the technicalities very well. But that's where we're at, people. We live in real bizarre times right now. Gold still stuck in this trading range. It couldn't take out that 1300 level. So technical selling knocked it down. We'll have to see now if it could hold. So that's pretty much it today. Highly recommend the book if you're interested. And Lord willing, we pick it up tomorrow. Patience and perspective is definitely required here, because this is definitely a spiritual. There's definitely a spiritual element to all this. So, beautiful day outside. Get out, take a good walk if you can. It'll do your spirit, your soul, and your body a world of good. Pick it up tomorrow, people. Ciao.